It's another beautiful day in the neighborhood, you think to yourself as you wake up and peer outside. The sun is shining, the birds are, well, squawking because you live near the beach, which means you only ever see seagulls. Strange, you swear you remember there being more species of birds than just seagulls, hawks, doves, and one foul-mouthed parrot. Whatever. You push those strange bird thoughts aside and put on your best Mr. Rogers sweater, then hop outside, get to work. You climb into your modest but reliable 2010 Faction and check traffic before pulling out of your parking spot. Traffic's light. Come to think of it, traffic's always pretty light, and you can't remember the last time you were stuck in a traffic jam longer than for 30 seconds. Golly, your life sure is convenient, you think to yourself. As you're driving along, you tune to your favorite radio station, Radio Los Santos. Sure, they only play like the same 15 songs, but hey, they're pretty good songs. Cruising along, you're making good time when suddenly a brand new Formula One race car comes roaring down the road behind you, blasting by you at over 100 miles an hour. And chasing the super race car is wait, is that a hover bike? Yes, it is in fact a hover bike, and the rider is busy unloading a submachine gun into the speeding Formula One race car. You immediately take the next right, not sure what in the world you just saw, but eager to get the hell out of the way. This street's a bit more serene, and you put as much distance as you can between yourself and that high-speed car chase. You think about calling the cops for a second, but just then a police car comes screaming by you, heading toward that duo you left behind. Somehow in this city, the cops just sorta know when something bad's going on, and they always seem to be just around the corner. It's kinda convenient, but you suddenly realize it's also kinda terrifying. Just what kind of oppressive police state are you living in, where local police have every nook and cranny of a city under so much surveillance they can respond to any crime in seconds? Well, at least this time the cops are going after the bad guys. You see another police car coming your way, and this one too looks like he's really in a hurry to get to the crime scene. You're glad to see the police are so motivated today. Having gang members shooting each other in broad daylight while riding hover bikes and Formula One race cars is kinda terrifying. Suddenly though, this police car careens completely out of control. Looks like the driver took a turn a bit too hard, and then he crashes into the car right in front of you. The cop car flips onto its roof and you slam your brakes on your car. You roll down your window in shock. "Oh my God, are you okay?" you yell at the officer, pulling himself out of the wreckage. Except you realize it's not an officer at all. It's a guy in a tuxedo with pink hair, and he's now running straight at you. The pink hair tuxedo guy rips you out of your car and throws you on the ground as he hops in, slamming into the car behind him as he desperately tries to speed away. A moment later, a freaking jet fighter roars by overhead, and a missile slams directly into your modest but always reliable 2010 Faction. The blast blows you backward 30 feet, but incredibly you're still alive. In moments, a fire truck is pulling up onto the scene, hosing down the flaming wreckage of what used to be your car and the skeletal remains of the pink-haired tuxedoed carjacker you're guessing. You can't believe it, you almost had finished all the payments on that car too. As you're trying to pull yourself together though, a man in striped pajamas goes running up to the fire truck and to your complete amazement climbs into the cab and steals it. The fire truck is roaring down the street in minutes, and you can practically hear the driver laughing maniacally as it smashes other drivers out of the way. Despite the madness behind them though, drivers ahead of the oncoming fire truck act completely normal and don't even bother to get out of the way. The fire truck's rampage goes unchecked, at least until another driver, this time in a vehicle that looks like a car ramp, comes flying down the street straight at the fire truck. As you stare incredulously, the fire truck gets ramped straight up into the air as the second car slides directly underneath it, and as the fire truck comes crashing down, it explodes in a shower of flames and shrapnel directly on top of the minivan. That causes the minivan to explode, which sets off a chain reaction of exploding cars down the street. You've had it. You don't know what in the world is going on in your formerly peaceful city, but absolute pandemonium seems to have broken out. You run screaming down the nearest street, only to come across a man dressed as a clown shooting a laser gun and another man dressed like some filthy hobo Santa. The man in the Santa outfit, though, seems to be armed with a chain gun of some sort and absolutely shreds the laser gun clown. You're hyperventilating at this point, so you duck into a nearby convenience store. You need to get off the street and calm your frayed nerves. There's something seriously wrong with the world today, and you run to the clerk behind the counter, begging him to call the cops, the military, the governor, anybody. The clerk completely ignores you though and simply asks, "You gonna buy something? If not, you go. Get out." And that's when another customer punches you in the face, sending you flying against a nearby shelf. A second punch drops you to the floor, and you don't know what's going on, but you decide to just stay down. Incredibly, after a second punch, a bunch of money falls on the ground next to you, and you realize that money is the $187 you had in your bank account. How the money materialized here onto this dirty convenience store floor from your bank account is beyond you, but at this rate, it's the least weird thing that's happened today. The convenience store clerk begins yelling though, having witnessed a crime. He pulls out a small revolver and starts shooting at the robber, who pulls out a freaking bazooka out of nowhere and blasts the clerk into oblivion. Just like clockwork though, you can hear the squealing of tires and the ringing of police sirens as outside the store a dozen cops immediately appear. The inside of the store turns into a shooting gallery as the police unload and fill the place with lead. You decide it's best to keep your head down and doing your best not to scream like a little frightened girl, you crawl behind another shelf, trying to stay out of the line of fire. The robber turns the bazooka on the cops, blowing one of the parked cop cars and like 6 officers to kingdom come. But in a haze of gunfire, the robber is brought down. You thank your lucky stars and stumble out of the store, calling for one of the officers. Officer, you gotta help me. Something is seriously wrong. But the officers don't respond. Instead, they slowly saunter back to their vehicles and climb in. One of them seems to have trouble navigating the curb and just sort of walks in place, not moving anywhere. You can't believe your eyes. They just killed a robber with a freaking bazooka. There's at least 6 dead cops laying around, and everyone just seems like they're ready to go back about their business. Shouldn't someone call a mortician or I don't know, like file a report or something? Then, right in front of your eyes, a futuristic tank comes roaring by, slamming straight into the cop cars on its way. The cars explode on impact, and you count the death toll at like maybe another half dozen cops. You're still trying to process what just happened when you hear the city come alive with the sound of police sirens. Whoever this driver is in the futuristic tank, they're clearly now the most wanted person in the city. The tank begins to blow police cars away with its cannon, and suddenly, from seemingly out of nowhere, police in full body armor begin to appear. Right now, you're grateful to see them, but seriously, you're starting to really have concerns about what kind of super police state you're living in, where fully armored and heavily armed police officers can just show up out of nowhere. Well, body armor or no, they don't stand a chance against the tank. Then, a Batmobile, well, it's not called that, it's basically a Batmobile, comes tearing down the road. As it passes the tank, you can see the driver of the Batmobile toss what looks like some sort of explosive onto the tank, quickly followed by 2 or 3 more. Then the Batmobile's tires shriek like a wounded dragon as it peels away, and you can see the driver's hand sticking out the window holding on to what looks like, yeah, it's a detonator. In one blinding flash of light, the tank and like a dozen civilian vehicles are all no more. You're on your feet again, running and stumbling straight into the pedestrians as you try to flee to safety. The pedestrians all give you rude comments as you rush by, and you can't understand it. Why isn't everyone running for their lives? A freaking tank just blew up like 2 dozen police cars only to be blown up sky high itself by someone in a Batmobile, and that's by far the least insane thing that's happened today. Why is everyone acting so damn normal? You really need a moment to catch your breath. It's been an absolute insane day so far, so you head to the quiet sanctity of a nearby city park. There, far from the streets, you pause and try to collect your thoughts. You don't know what's going on today, but it seems like the world's turned upside down. Weirdly though, you also have a thought in the back of your mind that literally all of this pretty much is a daily occurrence. In fact, as more of the day goes by, you kind of feel more and more at home with the wanton violence, terrorism, and absolute mayhem that passes for a normal day around the city. You're kind of starting to understand why the pedestrians seem to always run away from the mayhem, but then pretty quickly just go back on to acting totally normal as if they're far away enough. That's why you don't even blink when, as you're chilling on a park bench minding your own business, a semi-truck comes crashing through a hedgerow and mows down like 8 joggers. Chasing the semi is a rocket-powered motorcycle being ridden by a woman wearing a fedora and a lumberjack shirt. Yep, totally normal when she gets off her rocket-powered motorcycle, pulls out a plasma machine gun, and absolutely wrecks the semi-truck trying to speed away. As the smoke from the flaming wreck dies down and the all-too-familiar wail of police sirens sound in the distance, you nod to yourself. Yep, just another totally normal average day living in San Andreas. You don't even really realize it's now you who's acting totally normal as the city literally burns around you, and maniacs dressed like clowns, homeless Santa Clauses, and lumberjacks do their best to annihilate each other. Now go watch What Would You Do with the Infinity Gauntlet? Or if you'd like a change of pace, click this other video instead. Either way, click one now and keep the watch party going.